how much should Spencer Rattler's stock have risen after yesterday's performance? Just they had 3 practices total for the week. That was the first one we were out there. They had been rotating a little bit before that in those other 2 days, but yesterday he showed out pretty well. Just how much should have risen?
Well, look, Spencer Rattler looked great, and he should have. I mean, we talked about that in Monday's segment about, what does Spencer Rattler going to have to do to win this job. He should look ahead of Shuck now, for sure. He should look ahead of Shuck in the preseason. He should look ahead of Shuck in training camp. I mean, it's year 2, and the guy got to play 7 meaningful NFL games last year. Even though he went 0-6 as a starter, obviously some of those were close. He put halves together, now full games. He was playing behind the missing offensive linemen and missing playmakers that we talked about. But yeah, he should come into year 2 and feel like he's got the answers to the test now, and he should look a lot better than Tyler Shuck. So that part shouldn't be surprising. And I will say, even though Kellen Moore said it's going to be a rotation, the way I heard it, Rattler has been going first each day so far. And I mean, this is a competitive dude who, they just drafted Tyler Shuck in the 2nd round, and that's a real investment. And last year they drafted Rattler in the 5th round. So we look at it a certain kind of way. But that's not how he looks at it. He looks at it as golden opportunity. Derek Carr just retired. I have been here for all of the offseason program, phase 1 and phase 2. Look at all the pictures. Look at all the videos. I'm breaking down the huddle. I'm running this team. And, okay, they just drafted a guy in the 2nd round. I can beat him. This is my NFL career on the line. I'm gonna take this opportunity, and I'm not opening the door. So that's his mindset. We've seen his ceiling. We know his potential. I'm buying that this is a real competition. I'm also buying that even if you're looking at it long term, maybe you throw Spencer Rattler out there first. If you throw Shuck out there first, you got nowhere else to turn. We were talking about that, what happens when you're 1-4 because the schedule starts out tough and you're like, all right, I guess let's bench Shuck now. And then when are we getting him back? Then does it turn into one of those Bryce Young situations when they benched him for Andy Dalton? And that felt, I don't know. I think there's a lot of paths for Spencer Rattler to be like, I'm the veteran and you're the rookie and you're waiting behind me. Now, there's also a lot of paths to him not being able to lock down the job because he does have a cap on his ceiling, but we're talking about 8 throws that we saw in 7-on-7 drills yesterday. No tackling, no pass rush. But I like the mindset. I like the polish. I like the command. I think he's a real contender.
Never by a stretch of the imagination did we think he was going to just lay down and get Shuck the job. But yesterday it did pretty much show that this is going to be a real competition. And this is somebody who isn't foreign to competition. He had competition at Oklahoma. He went to South Carolina. He was the man over there. But then as soon as he got into the NFL, now he and Jake Hayner are battling out. And it's the story again with his 2nd year in the NFL. So he's no stranger to that. And just talking to him yesterday, he was just saying how, he has a year of experience, but now he has the top playmakers available to him at his disposal. So it's very interesting to see kind of how it goes. You had a write-up on the website yesterday. Make sure you check it out. Use code NOF for 20% off your first payment. Kind of, what were some, don't give the whole thing away, but what were some of the standout moments?
Well, I love his quote where somebody said, are you just a lot more confident this year? And he said, well, I don't think I ever lack confidence, but I guess you could say I'm probably more comfortable, which it's probably the right answer. He came in with comfort, but he's always had confidence. And he's never felt like a 5th round draft pick. I keep saying he's felt like a 2nd round draft pick. For better and for worse, not a sure thing, but like a real talent that they're working with there, real experience in college, real pedigree, real skins on the wall, real proof of overcoming adversity. So look, he might never be a true starter in the NFL. He might never make it, but I saw enough last year that I wanted to see, and I wanted a real audition. He got a call back from me, all right, now let's bring you on the stage, meet the director, and work with the other cast members and see if we want you in this role. So I think it'd be a shame if he never gets that opportunity.
Nah, he definitely caught a raw deal last year with the instability in coaching throughout the season, and then also just the amount of injuries, those unprecedented amount of injuries that came to the offense.
I asked him yesterday, how many games did you play with Eric McCoy? And he goes, a couple, I think.
Maybe two, maybe two, maybe two, maybe two. Something that number kind of stands out because and no pun intended here with the phrase, but you send them out there in a car with 4 dummy tires on it, and one of them has a hole in it. Now he has a fair shot with perfectly inflated, evenly treaded tires.
He's still driving like a 2016 car or something, like they're not rolling him out there in something brand new from Matt Bowers.
Exactly. But it's still good. It could get you where you're going. You don't have to worry about having to go out and pour the water bottle down there in the middle of the highway. You're good. You know what I mean? You have a fighting chance. But speaking of fighting chances, Jake Hayner, somebody who was lesser kind of on this tier, somebody who still was in the building fighting to maybe surprise and shock and compete for a spot.
Sure.
He went out after Wednesday's practice with a injury to his oblique.
Yep.
Just kind of, what does that do for him? And does that call for more of a need to get a backup, a veteran backup in here?
Again, easy for us to dismiss and be like, oh, he was third anyway. Like, who cares? Like, he can come back and still be third. But, I mean, for him, same thing. Like, I need to resurrect my career. If I get any other chances, this is probably my last chance.
Yeah.
I need to go out there and be more impressive than anyone because I got a 2-year head start. And I want to impress this new coaching staff and have them open this up and be a 3-person competition. And we know Hayner has confidence. We know he has ambition. In a sense, he beat out Spencer Rattler for the backup job last summer. I know there was some debate over who should have won that and how close it really was. But, he made it close. He made it a tough call, and he wanted to come back and do that again this year and look better than either of the other guys all throughout the summer. So this is a huge setback for him because he had to really thread the needle and had a real long shot opportunity, and now that shot just gets longer and longer. Now, if he's fully healthy in time for the preseason, then he still is going to get some training camp reps, mostly with the 2s and 3s. He's still going to get preseason game reps, probably mostly in the second half. And it's probably more about fighting for a roster spot than it is fighting for the starting job, which was always true. But, he wanted to give it everything he's got. So missing this time stinks. But of course, true to what we know about Jake Hayner, he's following the quarterbacks around. He's mimicking every play. He's lowering his head in, pretending he's in the huddle. He's going to be in the classroom. He's going to be doing all that. He's going to try to miss as little time as possible. The one thing I wonder about is, does this, you and Nick just talked about on Wednesday's show, does this team need a veteran quarterback? It kind of felt like they weren't going to force that, but now, how much time is he going to miss? Do they now call a veteran quarterback, or do they call Ben DiNucci back or something because they want to have 4 healthy active quarterbacks, or do they wait and save Hayner's spot for him?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a real question, and that's a real concern because even like Nick and I's conversation from the other day, the point was made that there is nobody kind of in that room to turn to and say, hey, what does this look like? What do I do in this situation? Because you're all in a fierce competition with each other. And the only person with the most experience in there is Jake Hayner. But even going back to Jake, just his experience in the NFL so far, it's been rough every offseason for this guy, man.
Yeah.
The first time he got hit with a PED violation, then the second year he got diagnosed with that skin cancer where he had to go get that taken care of in the middle of a quarterback competition. And now he gets injured the first week of OTAs. It's just setback after setback, but he comes in with his head high. So
yeah, he does. He's a confident guy for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of adding a veteran, I mean, Jake is a smart guy. He's gone through a lot of offenses and systems in his 3 years with the Saints. This is his 3rd offense. So he has some of that experience like that, but I still do think you need an older guy in here for these younger guys to kind of go to and kind of be that mediation piece between the coaching staff and the active players. Somebody who isn't a threat to like start at any point.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, Kellen Moore would know that better than we would. I mean, that's what he was. He was a backup quarterback. He was the veteran backup quarterback in the room when Dak Prescott was a rookie. He knows how valuable he was to Dak Prescott. So Yeah, I mean, the hey, I've been there, I've done that. That comes from Kellen Moore, comes from Doug Nussmeier, and it comes from Scott Tolzien. All three of them former NFL quarterbacks. Obviously a small amount of starts among all of them. But no one's going to know that better than Kellen Moore if these guys need a Kellen Moore in the room.
Right. No, for sure. And look, even relating it to the experience here, I was the intern, then I became the employee. So I went from having to go through somebody to get to Nick, then just directly getting to Nick. Now, whenever somebody new comes, I'm going to be that middle piece, for them to Nick. Just
you guys got to see the way B's face lights up when there's like another intern in the room and beat the vet. Oh, B loves wearing the vet hat.
But yeah, that's yes, because it's real, because you've been through that and kind of like how to help that person out. Like, maybe you should keep this thought to yourself. Let's workshop this before we end up at the big man. You know what I mean? Just things like that. But supportive, none the least. And at the end of the day, even if the idea is crazy, Nick will probably just say, "All right, why not? Let's try it." You know what I mean? But I think Kellen is in a new spot. He's a head coach. It's his first year as a head coach. He has multiple things to cover now. He has to cover the entire team, not just the quarterback room. And of course, you got Scott Tolzien and Doug Nussmeier in there to help along with him. But I think you do need to add somebody to kind of help be that.
I don't know. The only thing is, there's arguments on both sides.
Yeah,
it'd be great to get Teddy Bridgewater back in here. I think he's got a high school team to coach. He only came back for the postseason last year after his high school season was done. I mean,
first time in and winning the championships.
Is it Carson Wentz? Is it CJ Beathard? I mean, I don't know what it is, but I don't think so. I mean, there's valid arguments for that on both sides. I don't think this necessarily has to change it as long as they're confident that Hayner's going to be back in time for training camp. So whatever you were going to do before is probably what you're still going to do now, because there's certainly no shame in all these reps going to Rattler, Shuck, and Hunter Deckers in the meantime, because those three guys can use as many reps as possible.
Yeah, none at all.
The veteran quarterback thing might be once the season comes around. I mean, that kind of thing happens all the time. I remember, did the Saints, was it Luke McCown? They cut one of his seasons here, and then surprisingly, the Falcons picked him up on September 7th or whatever, claimed him off waivers or whatever, and it was like, oh dang, they just snagged Luke McCown away. It's like sometimes the team might look at their young guys all summer long and then go into the season and be like, hey, let me go grab your McCown or your Fitzpatrick or your whatever now.